If proponents of multiversal theory are to be believed, then at every moment of every day, with every decision, new branches are added to a great multiversal stream. Now ask yourself, what would happen should these universes become aware of one another? Even if some would choose peaceful cooperation or to ignore their parallel universe, there would be those who would choose war, who would seek conquest. Inevitably, such a conflict would spread as universes fought to preserve themselves or to conquer others, and this fighting threatening to destroy all of existence, consuming all of time. And if history is any indicator, such a conflict has already occurred. In its wake, a solution has been postulated. To preserve peace, free will must be eliminated. All actions and thoughts that differ from what was termed the sacred timeline must be eliminated. In reality, the sacred timeline is a combination of some 60 different timelines, isolated from a broader multiverse, and each held true to a common baseline and reached a common end. To maintain this peace, the Time Variance Authority was founded outside of space and time. At its head, a triumvirate of timekeepers, beings who produce not only the records of the sacred timeline, but also all the personnel and technology within the TVA. Beneath these timekeepers sat the Judges' Council, an institution made up of the highest judges and generals of the TVA. Together, they were responsible for overseeing the day-to-day operations of the organization, assisted by the ever-present AI system, Miss Minutes. As an organization, numerous departments together made up the TVA. But of these various departments, there are three that are the most crucial to achieving its goals. First are the analysts, individuals responsible for completing all clerical tasks within the organization. A role dominated by documentation, everything from identification, tracking, observing, and reporting the developments from across the sacred timeline. Each and every one of these records compiled and archived into a vast library, ensuring that each judge had the appropriate information to make an expedient ruling, and that the hunters were appropriately informed on the details of any variance that needed to be detained. The hunters served as both the security apparatus of the TVA and the first line of defense for the sacred timeline. Most often, this service took the form of apprehending variance, teams of Minutemen soldiers led by their hunter commanders, each trained to mitigate their temporal footprint, achieving this goal through the use of close-quarter combat techniques and their ubiquitous time sticks. A weapon capable of altering an individual's time flow, effectively freezing them in place, allowing for easy capture. Or should a target prove particularly problematic, the stick could just as easily wipe the individual from existence. Should the situation spiral out of control, becoming a nexus point, a temporal growth, then they might use a reset charge to purge this deviant time. All of these actions relying upon the technical capacity of the engineering department. Of the three departments, engineering is the smallest in terms of its personnel, Despite this, it is crucial to the TVA's operation, maintaining its technological capabilities, most important of which was the vast temporal loom at the heart of the Authority, physically threading the strands of the sacred timeline and providing, through its raw energy output, power for the TVA. For an imperceivable time, the TVA operated within these parameters, detaining Variance, questioning them, allowing them a chance to defend themselves before a judge, before ultimately being pruned, ensuring that time unfurled as it had, as it was meant to. It would take the hunt of a particular variant of Loki to begin a shakeup within the Authority, and in its ending, revealed to all the truth, revealing that the multiversal war had begun with one man, a variant of which founded the TVA, that the Timekeepers, these mythical founders at the center of the organization, were nothing more than machines controlled by this man. More than this, the agents, analysts, and hunters all learned that they themselves were Variants, abducted from across time, their minds wiped so that all they had was service to the TVA. Such a revelation shook the Authority to its core, an issue worsened by the emergence of numerous branching timelines. For some, there emerged an existential dread, a realization of the lives snuffed out with each timeline. Still others clung to the principles of the TVA. Adding to this confusion were the disappearance of Miss Minutes and one of the Authority's leading judges. And in this uncertainty, a fracture in leadership grew deeper as a decision was made to end the pruning of these new timelines. Ultimately, this decision seemed to compound the TVA's woes. With the temporal loom proving incapable of processing so many strands of time, instability became the norm. Power surges, a breakdown in the material universe, and every effort made to restore it proved ineffective. In their growing desperation, a splinter faction within the Minutemen launched a plan of their own to save the TVA, to preserve the sacred timeline, and to restore stability. This faction planted reset charges across this growing multiverse. These actions were little different than the methodologies embraced by the TVA not long before, but in the light of recent revelation, it was viewed with abhorrence by the more reform-minded. Not long after, the leadership and a majority of this Minutemen faction were captured and imprisoned, but not before their actions could be carried out. Countless lives were destroyed, but for a time it restored a sense of stability to the TVA. And during this period, every effort was made to expand the loom, only to realize, perhaps too late, that it could never be made to handle the infinite possibilities of a true multiverse. And in the end, only one solution proved acceptable, one that came with great sacrifice, allowing both the growth of the multiverse and the preservation of the TVA. Under the leadership of reform-minded agents, the end of pruning timelines was made a permanent feature within the TVA. Their agents and hunters instead focused every effort on limiting universal incursions, on preventing conflicts from brewing, and hunting down variants of their founder, lest they should fail and a new multiversal war blossom across space and time. though the TVA has been somewhat transformed by recent events, and the branches of the sacred timeline once more intermingle with the multiverse. The possibility of greater transformation, either for good or for evil, remains. All it takes is the right voice at the right time and a little bit of effort.